dilemma in your position, and that is the stricter the requirements that you demand, the fewer of that million people will qualify. What percentage of those million do you think will actually qualify under those strict standards that you presented?
It is an excellent question. Of course, the balance that you talk of is precisely correct, that there will be some trade-off there, and I can't give you an answer. I think we will only know when we have opened the doors and said, here is the system. We will encourage people to participate. One of the issues also will be trust. Will people be willing to, not only will there be compliance and the capacity to comply that you allude to, will there be a desire to participate given what may be some hesitancy to intersect with government. We will only know when we begin this process. In the years I was Attorney General, we made many cases, labor rights cases, for the working poor, where we had to work with individuals whose immigration status was uncertain. We had to overcome similar issues of both trust and documentation, and did so with great success in a vindication of state law that was unambiguously correct. And so we have encountered this in the past, not in a way that would permit me to make a prediction about what compliance rate we will give, but in a way that gives me comfort that there will be participation.
How has this policy been adjusted since you first announced it on September 21st, and what is the cost of implementing all of this technology?
Has been adjusted? Not at all. This is precisely the policy that we had in place at that time. As you can see, the implementation is going to take some time. As I said, the date was September 12th. I take that on faith. I didn't remember the date. The implementation will move forward in stages. And therefore, we will have to see how it rolls out as we go. It'll be one of those implementations whose timetable and cost will be determined as we go forward. And trust me, I will not say cost doesn't matter. Of course, it always matters. And those who heard me at the Citizens Budget Commission the other day when I was talking about our budget deficit and all the hard choices we have to make, understand and appreciate that. On the other hand, what we're talking about here is our security. And when it is the security of the state that is at stake, obviously that has a priority. And so we will implement these policies because our security depends upon it. All of the technologies are necessary to security.
So the governor is going to take a few questions from the press from the podium. So,
Probably if they have it. Yeah. Sure.
Governor Spitzer, in a recent poll, 70% of the poll disapprove of your plan. What do you have to say? And are you surprised by such a high?
I'll give you, the first answer is I don't make security decisions about the state of New York based on poll numbers. When I decide something's important for our security, I'll do it. If it is right, if it is constitutional, if it is legal, and it is necessary. And that's precisely what I've done here. I also am of the view that those poll questions were structured in a way that was almost designed to get to that answer. And of course, we all know how polling data can be intentionally or unintentionally manipulated. I don't want to suggest bad faith, of course, but I don't put much stock in them. I think if people listen to an articulation based upon facts and based upon what we intend to do, they will recognize that this is smart security policy and the public will be supportive. But as I said, poll numbers do not drive me, whether it's security or any other policy, and so this is the right thing to do.
Governor, why did you not do this through the legislative process, but instead do it essentially through executive order?
Well, this is a determination that is properly made by DMV through administrative action. This is a standard distinction between executive power and legislative power. These are decisions that have been vested in the DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles, and the executive branch to make implementation decisions about security, about how we issue driver's licenses. There was no need, nor is there any need, to go to the legislature. I always value the perspectives of the legislature, but this is an issue which has been within the domain of the executive, and that is why we pursued it as such. Yeah, Liz.
Senator Clinton said that she could see where you were going by trying to implement this policy, but at the same time, she said that this is not necessarily something that can be addressed on a state-by-state basis, that there really needs to be a federal approach. How do you feel about it?
Well, as with many issues, if there were a uniform federal policy, that would be fine, depending upon what it was, of course. The uniformity that one can get at federal level can be aspired to. I talked about that all 8 years I was Attorney General when I was pursuing prosecutions, whether in the context of the environment, or Wall Street, or anywhere else, and people said, should a state be doing this? And my answer was, well, we will do it when there is a void at the federal level. We will do it when it is within the domain of policy that a state is supposed to define. If there were a uniform federal policy that accomplished these objectives, that would be wonderful. And so I will leave it to them. We have seen how difficult it has been for Washington to resolve these issues, and in that context, we have no choice but to move forward as we are doing today.
It could become a lightning rod for some people in the anti-immigrant naysayers and television commentators.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And do you think that makes it more difficult for you to sell this policy, and especially considering the legislature is threatening to withhold funds? That's the most common approach they would have, perhaps the most successful approach they have.
Look, this is the nature of political discourse. I gave a talk a few weeks ago on this topic at Fordham University, and tried to be bipartisan, and at the law school. And I said that it would be good if the level of the tonality of the discourse could change a little bit, because I would prefer that the focus be facts and rational discourse rather than what sometimes we've heard. But I expected there to be some disagreement on this issue.
But
That's fine.
Has the opposite happened to what you hoped for at Fordham? I mean, it seems like...
Look, well, not with the way I have spoken about it. All I can do is control the way I will speak about it, the way I will continue to project the debate and deal with the facts, and that's what we will do. If others want to speak otherwise, that's fine. You know, that is the politics of the moment, certainly. And it is what it is. It's the fray one enters, but the policy is what I want to focus upon, and getting the right security outcome for the public is what I want to be certain we get.
Governor, your comment that you won't implement the policy until the security measures are in place, people are satisfied with it. Could you just expand on that? Will that delay the implementation that you originally had in mind? No,
this is on the same timetable that we had anticipated. Back when I announced this a few weeks ago, my recollection is that I think we said it would be sometime in early December before we began to get some of the basic steps in place. We will do this sequentially. There are different universes of those who have had licenses in the past who can be brought into this system because of the structure we've set up. And I can't get into that level of detail right now, but this is the timeline we had anticipated. There is no delay, and we are doing this methodically, carefully, to ensure that every step is done properly.
Governor, two more questions.
Two more questions, yeah.
Governor?
Yeah. One, two, yeah.
So when will it be implemented fully?
We fully, mid-next year, Mike, is that, middle of next year, it will begin in December and mid-next year, all right? Thank you, sir. We have that.
You said there are 6 points of identification, and a lot of undocumented immigrants are anxious to go forward and get a driver's license. I can't think of 6 points of identification that I would have. Can you give specific examples?
We can give you the list. I think most people will realize they will have those 6 points of identification. The most important one is the foreign passport. And that is the one that I think people should focus on, because when they hear, you talk about the public response to this, the public understanding, when they say, oh, you'll need a valid passport, that makes sense. Then we will really know who is who. And those passports, as you know, can be acquired at consulates. People have them. And so that is really the pivot point for this, and that is the one that is the most important to ensuring the security of the structure. All right?
Governor, yes,
Oh, good.
question?
Mike is here, guys, thank you so very much.